Wheel of Fortune featuring Vanna White is exactly what it says it is, for better or worse. It's Wheel of Fortune on the Super Nintendo. There are up to 3 players, any number of which can be computer or player controlled. You play 3 rounds of Wheel of Fortune, and the person with the most money at the end of those 3 rounds plays the bonus round of Wheel of Fortune. It's interesting to look at something like this and wonder what the circumstances of its creation were, because this is the definition of a minimum viable product. The graphics are barely acceptable, especially the character reactions. The interface is intuitive for something made in 1992. You can understand the controls without having to read the manual. There are no real settings to change from what I can tell. The sound design is effectively non-existent, but they're enough, I guess. You can hear the wheels spinning and there's an annoying crowd. Why did they even pay for the Vanna White licensing thing if she's going to look like this and move this slow all the time that you are looking at her? It's like they got it just to show this pixel art when you turn the game on and for no other reason. I like to harp on how old I am sometimes, but I'm not old enough to vividly remember the times when it was obvious that there were a lot of games simply made to be rented. But this has to be one of those games. There cannot have been real people who wanted to spend $50 or more $1992 on this little of a game. I might be a bit hyperbolic because of the time we live in now, but I was a kid with a Super Nintendo. I played Mega Man X and Super Mario World when I wanted to play a video game. Not this. You know, when you look back at this time, or specifically me, I think it's weird because this is effectively a family game with maybe 40 minutes of viable enjoyment in it. I obviously don't know how many actual puzzles there are in the game, but there is no variety across rounds besides the category of phrase. You play 3 identical rule set puzzles, and then the winner gets a bonus round. There isn't any way on this planet, even when I was 5 or 6 years old, that my family was going to hover around the TV at night and play this together for more than a round. This is still the time that video games were a bit ostracized. I know because my dad berated me for playing them so much, even though he spent 99% of his free time watching TV, an objectively worse activity for brain function. But he loved video games too, so he was also a hypocrite. I digress. There were times when we played games as a family because they were good enough that we all liked them. But it was never something like this. It was good video games, like Super Mario Kart, or Donkey Kong Country. Those were the great things on Super Nintendo. Truly classic and great games for the system were contemporary to this game. This is just an acceptable version of a game that is probably still more fun if you're just watching the show on TV instead, because you get about 85% of the same experience with much better graphics. Maybe it's hard to conceptualize because of how much every type of game has changed since then for anyone who didn't live it. But back in the day, at least when my family played a game like this, it would get touched once. We'd realize it's kind of lame and put one of the good games we owned back in and not really care that we just need to take this game back to the rental store tomorrow. I don't know. There isn't enough bad stuff to say about this game to make this video longer or more interesting. This game is simply a product of its time. It is what it could be, I guess. I don't know, I've only played like 80 games for this series. This game is at least average quality across all those. Take that for what you will. It just feels like there is simply no substance or goal here beyond exactly a very streamlined Wheel of Fortune experience, which really isn't what I or anyone I know would want out of a video game. Even back when it came out. I guess this is exactly what all people who think old games are bad think what an old video game is. But that's everything meaningful I have to say about it. Please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you like old and obscure video games, if that's exactly what I talk about here. And have a great day.